Hey, welcome back everybody. Happy Wednesday and happy July 10th now, already in the double digits for July. So time is flying, time is moving quick, and we're also starting to get, further and further into hurricane season. And today we are currently feeling those impacts of it as what is left of Beryl continues working on through the country. So that will definitely be kind of the big time story in today's video as a ongoing tornado outbreak looks likely today. But after that, things don't necessarily quiet down. There is a little bit of tropical trouble really right here at home off the southeast coastline that could bring some interesting weather this weekend into portions of the Carolinas and Virginia. I'll talk about that in today's video. I'll tell you what exactly the odds are, I think, that we could get some tropical development and some tropical impacts out of that. Now, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so. Like the video if you like it. Comment, let me know where you're watching from and what you're seeing out there, especially those of you today kind of under the gun for some severe weather. I'd love to hear those reports from all of you. And if you're just watching somewhere that it's nice today, then maybe give me a temperature reading. Tell me how hot it is where you are, because unfortunately, it is quite steamy for a lot of folks out there. So, with all that said, I think we can go ahead and jump on into it, so I don't take up too much of your time on this Wednesday. Now, we're going to start by looking at just good old visible satellite imagery. Haven't used this one in a while, so I figured we'll mix it up a little bit, and it does a good enough job at showing us what we need to see. And it shows us what is left of Beryl kind of spinning away over portions of Indiana today, as it is eventually going to cross really right over Detroit this afternoon. But you'll notice this big shield of cloud cover to the north, and then a little bit less, more broken up cloud cover to the south. And this is going to do a pretty good job at demonstrating where we have what problems to kind of worry about today. In this northern section, just a lot of rain on the way with that portion of Beryl. While on this southern section, as that lifts northward, we're going to have more of a severe weather threat, including the threat of tornadoes and some straight line winds this afternoon. So that's something we're going to need to watch out for today. You're going to want to stay weather aware throughout much of today as that threat continues for a lot of folks. Now, current watches, warnings, and advisories for the East Coast. Again, it is hot on the I-95 corridor, Boston all the way down to Charleston, South Carolina. You could hop on I-95 and never leave a heat advisory, and through some places get into an excessive heat warning through the Philadelphia metro area, back towards Trenton, New Jersey, and down into the D.C. Baltimore metro as well. Again, some very hot temperatures this afternoon with really, it's not even the temperature that's a big problem as much as it is the heat index and that wet bulb is just really going to make it feel not very comfortable outside. So again, you got to stay very hydrated today, and unfortunately that's just a summertime thing in general, but especially when you're under these heat advisories or excessive heat warnings, absolutely need to be drinking a lot of water. Now, other than that, flooding are the other watches we have. These are flood watches for upstate New York from the Catskills here, or excuse me, the Adirondack area, down towards Utica, Syracuse, and back over towards Montpelier, Vermont, then the White Mountain National Forest through New Hampshire, and then up into interior Maine, from kind of Augusta there through some of these more rural, less populated areas of Maine. So again, flooding could be a concern this afternoon, and I would expect by the time the day is over, maybe even by the time you're watching this, tornado watches are likely going to be added here, kind of in between these two zones of the flash flood watch and these heat advisories. Also, some flood watches back over towards Michigan. In fact, we've got some flood advisories in effect here for Detroit this morning and surrounding areas near Ann Arbor, Waterford, Maine, Flint, or excuse me, Michigan rather, Waterford, Michigan, Flint, Michigan, Kalamazoo under one of these flood advisories as well. So again, just a good old soaking rain, but it is definitely starting to pile up out there, and we're seeing some of those impacts because of that. Outside of there, we have leftover flood advisories along much of the Mississippi River from all of that rain we saw as Beryl tracked on through the St. Louis area. In fact, I got a comment about that, I want to say yesterday's video or maybe the day before, and yeah, sure enough, I'm seeing some flooding problems due to that here right into the St. Louis area. So that's kind of your watches, warnings, and advisories in the east. Out west, again, just hot and fire concerns are continuing as it's been very hot and dry through much of California, Nevada, Utah, and throughout much of the Northern Rockies as well. So that's kind of the story on that front. Now, radar imagery today, again, obviously the big story is what's going on up here in Beryl. We'll dive into that in just a second, but also seeing some showers and storms along the Gulf Coast from Louisiana over through Florida this afternoon, or I guess this morning. Not really, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, so not afternoon yet, but again, seeing some showers and storms that way. Also back into portions of the Midwest. This isn't necessarily directly due to Beryl, but definitely getting some enhanced pull down on the backside of the remnants of Beryl, bringing some showers and storms that way. But overall speaking, pretty dry. Also, I'll mention some showers here into the Intracoastal Highway area of South Carolina, kind of Myrtle Beach, Surfside, northbound towards Wilmington, seeing a couple showers and storms working on through this morning. So again, watching out for that. And as we kind of zoom this in a little bit more and look right at the remnants of Beryl itself, here we go. Again, just a lot of rain currently through Michigan and back into northern Indiana. Luckily, the severe weather threat there is low. Also even seeing some rain up here into portions of Quebec here. So if we have any viewers from Canada getting in on some rain there, as again, Beryl is going to impact you as well, as that kind of crosses the border from Michigan there into portions of eastern Canada. So again, watching out for that. And also, again, you can already kind of see where that severe weather threat is going to set up today, right here just south of this shield of rain and kind of where this bowing area of storms is working into. That's where we're going to have the greatest ingredients for tornadoes. Again, could be a pretty big deal for a lot of folks. We saw lots of tornadoes on Monday as Beryl made landfall, saw plenty yesterday, and again, like I mentioned, this kind of played out. Excuse me. Also had some pretty photogenic tornadoes yesterday, and today, outside of the terrain that might make it difficult, could also see some more of those tornadoes, and a couple could even be a little strong. Wouldn't completely surprise me to see that. All right, speaking of that tornado threat, again, we've got a 10% area for tornadoes today, kind of right here into the heart of New York State, kind of into the Syracuse area and Utica as well. So we need to watch out for that, but really anybody in that green area has a shot of a tornado today from Erie, Pennsylvania, back down towards Harrisburg, extreme northern New Jersey, the Hudson River Valley of New York, back towards Connecticut, much of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont, and even the Bangor, Maine area could see a tornado later this evening. So again, you just have to have a way to get watches and warnings, and oftentimes these tornadoes sometimes can be kind of difficult to pick up on radar, especially in the terrain out here. It's a little more mountainous. So radar can struggle sometimes, and also they can just be such quick spin-ups. So if there is any time a shower or storm is moving through, just go ahead, play it safe, and have a safety plan and get in kind of a more sheltered area than maybe you normally would for a passing shower during the summertime. So again, watching out for that. Also, wind going to be a problem today. That threat's going to extend a little bit further south than the tornado threat. So anybody under the tornado threat, also under a wind threat. Obviously, those two kind of go hand in hand. But also, that straight line wind threat is going to extend a little bit further south here into DC and Baltimore, where we're going to have a little less spin in the atmosphere for tornadoes, but we're still going to have plenty of heat, content, and energy with storms working on through that could see a couple strong straight line wind gusts. So going to have to watch out for that as well. All right, so let's dive into some models here. We'll start with our high-resolution rapid refresh. I think this is doing a pretty good job of showing the overall map. It might not be doing the best job of showing the specific ingredients, and I'm going to use a different model to show you those tornado ingredients because of that. But we'll show you this because it's doing a pretty good job of painting the overall picture. And here we go. So this afternoon, just after noon or so, you'll notice here we've got a line of storms beginning to fire up here back into Pennsylvania. Also some more embedded storms kind of up, at the southern tier of that shield of rain as well. So any of these storms, especially these ones that kind of have that kidney bean look, like the one I've circled here, you'll notice it's kind of got that hooking shape to it. Any of these have the potential to produce a tornado. So you've got to, again, kind of keep an eye to the sky and on radar here, and obviously have a way to get those warnings. And things will become more widespread this afternoon. Again, anywhere from Vermont, New Hampshire, you'll see some storms up there, some storms along Lake Erie here. Need to watch out for that. And then to the south, again, a more organized line of storms kind of crossing through Pennsylvania and New York. Those could also produce tornadoes, as well as obviously some strong straight line winds. And this whole general theme continues throughout this afternoon, becoming more widespread here through New York State and down into Pennsylvania. Again, all of these having the chance to produce a tornado or two. Same story up here into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. These storms will rotate at times, and again, I expect multiple tornado warnings to be issued today because of this. And it wasn't that long ago. Remember, just a week or two ago, we had that 10% threat up here. Definitely we had some tornadoes, but it maybe wasn't as widespread as we thought. Today could outdo that. In fact, I would expect it to outdo that. So again, it's been kind of a bit of a tornadic past month or two for this part of the country that isn't very used to it, but it does happen, and today will be a great example of that. So again, this is getting a little bit closer to sunset, though, and just notice anywhere you see these storms on the map, I know I keep saying it, but they have the chance to rotate, so you just got to be prepared for that, and that will continue even into the overnight a little bit, although you'll notice after sunset, I think the tornado threat is going to shift a little bit up further north here from Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and back into upstate New York, while further south, I think we're going to get into more of an organized QLCS sort of setup through Pennsylvania and back into the DMV as well. Again, there could be a couple areas of embedded rotation here, but straight line winds, will become more of a threat, especially further south here towards like Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. So all that continues into the overnight. Tornado threat dies down after the sun goes down a little bit, and we're really just left over with scattered rain showers throughout the overnight hours. And by the time we're waking up tomorrow, much drier, although expect a couple scattered showers in the morning, especially up through Maine, I think, before eventually, some more scattered showers could come in off the lakes during the afternoon hours, but a much nicer day tomorrow, despite some of the cloud cover and showers. All right, those tornado ingredients, again, you'll notice already picking up this morning. We're getting about a 3 on this chart. So not off the charts by any means, but enough we need to pay attention. It's going into this afternoon, though, that again, you'll notice these ingredients really pick up here right through the heart of New York State into northern Pennsylvania as well. And all of this throughout the afternoon hours is slowly going to work off towards the north and east. You'll even notice getting later on into this afternoon here, ingredients increasing into Vermont, New Hampshire, and really picking up here into upstate New York, and again, right here along the Pennsylvania border, with a much lower but a non-zero tornado threat further south, as I mentioned. The kinematics there, or the wind ingredients, are a little less favorable than up north. But again, don't completely rule out a brief isolated tornado, even if wind is the bigger threat. Good news is, though, you'll notice as we go past sunset, that tornado threat really dies down, and by the time we're getting into the morning hours of tomorrow and tomorrow afternoon, those ingredients are near zero. Could see maybe a very small, quick, brief spin up through portions of Maine tomorrow afternoon, but overall speaking, a much nicer Thursday than what we're going to see today. All right. Sorry, stretching a little bit here. It's been a long 24 hours. For those of you that didn't see on Twitter, the place I work at in Charlotte actually, unfortunately, had to announce its closing. And I know this is completely off topic from the weather, but I figured I'd throw it in here anyway. So I'm working like 6 days a week right now, and like 4 of those are doubles. So it's if I seem tired, if I look a little dead, that's why. Give me a small excuse. Apologize about that. But either way, life goes on, and it'll be okay. So back to the weather now. We'll talk about some rain here. And it has been raining, of course, into Indiana, Michigan, and it will continue throughout today. The good news, though, is the severe weather threat out here is much more limited than our friends in the Northeast are seeing. Also, some good news is, besides the fact somebody's doing yard work right outside behind me, that I'm sure you can hear, is this rain is going to move out by this evening. So, again, still, areas of downpours through the evening hours, but by the time the sun goes down, especially into midnight, things really clear out, and waking up and getting into Thursday afternoon outside of a scattered summer storm, much nicer conditions look to kind of work on it. And so that's the good news. Barrel finally working on out of here, and nicer days ahead. So that is definitely good news for everybody. All right. So the tropics. We said we were done, but not really done, and we're kind of done, but still also not really done. So a little bit of everything here, but obviously here's Beryl. We've been talking about that. We'll just kind of cross that off. We've talked about that, talked it to death for the past 2 weeks. Now, though, a new area of, I don't want to say concern, but a new area to watch, we'll say, just off the southeast coastline here from coastal South Carolina, Georgia. And again, I'm sorry that the person doing yard work is extremely loud right now. But again, this area just off the southeast coastline only has about a 10% chance of developing over the next couple of days, but we're not really concerned about whether it develops or not, as we're more concerned about what potential impacts a tropical low could bring to the coastal southeast and potentially even inland portions of the southeast. So let's talk about the setup a little bit here. This is this afternoon. Here is Beryl, again, right along portions of northern Ohio. And could definitely, obviously have the impacts that we talked there. But another thing that we need to talk about here is Beryl is kind of bringing down a front with it that is extending all the way down into the Carolinas today, and could definitely cause some concern for development on the tail end of that. Going into this, coming days. And I'm sorry, again, I'm losing my train of thought because there's a weed eater just absolutely blaring in my ear right now. But here we go. Low pressure looks to try to develop off the tail end of that going into our Thursday afternoon. So again, this is only a day from now, and this could definitely help to bring some rain to portions of the southeast. Now, I don't want you to get too excited. Unfortunately, nothing is set in stone here, and some models are a little more excited about this than other models. But it does look likely that some weak low pressure will develop off the tail end of this front and into this weekend, likely kind of just linger around portions of the southeast, try to move inland a little bit into this weekend before eventually high pressure once again takes back over. So what does this mean rainfall-wise? This is our GFS ensemble members kind of all thrown together here, and you'll notice we've got a big area of a lot of rain showing up. And I think, I'll just tell you right now, I think this is overdone a bit. But there is a chance that I do think we have increased rain chances into coastal areas of North Carolina and South Carolina, as well as Virginia. Specifically kind of from Hampton Roads down to Myrtle Beach would have the best chance, but especially eastern North Carolina, Greenville, New Bern, Elizabeth City, the Outer Banks, Wilmington, maybe even as far inland as Fayetteville. I think that's going to be the real hotspot for this as of right now. And again, these totals probably overdone a little bit, but no rain chances are increasing on the GFS model and the European model, again, also agreeing on that bullseye specifically of eastern North Carolina, but anywhere as far south as Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and as far north as the Delmarva could get some much needed precipitation out of this. Now, the unfortunate thing for our friends inland, there's going to be a very sharp cutoff here. So a place like Columbia, Charlotte might not get very much at all, while portions of North Carolina out east could get, 3 inches of rain. So it's just one of those summertime setups that you never know exactly who the real winners are going to be until it kind of happens. So if we look at some model data here, we'll start with the European. This is as early as Thursday afternoon. You'll notice scattered rain developing along the coast from Myrtle Beach northbound through, again, kind of the Hampton Roads, Roanoke area of Virginia. And that kind of, hangs on into our Thursday evening and even into our Friday with rounds of scattered rain for the I-95 corridor eastbound. Again, going to be tough to get it much further west than that. The I-77 corridor from Charlotte, Greensboro, or I guess I think technically it goes up, not through Greensboro, but wherever I-77 goes up through into North Carolina, past Charlotte. But again, those places are going to be a little bit harder to get rain compared to the eastern parts of these states. Now, I know you'll see times here it looks like it tries to get that far west. It may, but again, don't get too excited. If anyone really should be excited here, probably, again, right into, let me actually recircle that, probably right into here. Going to be the best shot. Even a place like Myrtle Beach could be a close call if that low scoots a little bit further north. Those ingredients are going to be not quite as great. But you'll notice either way, rounds of scattered rain throughout the weekend could be something that we have to look forward to before kind of dying out a little bit more going into early next week. Now, I'm also going to show you the NAM here because for once in, the NAM's life, it's actually showing kind of the opposite of a lot of rain. Normally, the NAM is known for over-convecting or just showing more rain than what is actually going to happen. But this time around, showing a little bit less than that. So you'll notice going into this weekend, Friday, again, some scattered rain, but most of it, again, further north from the Delmarva down into eastern North Carolina, while our friends down in Myrtle Beach and Charleston kind of don't really get much at all. So I want to show you this because it is a possibility that, again, if low pressure scoots further north and it's more of a Wilmington kind of area that this low comes ashore, the rainfall threat is going to shift north as well. So, we're going to still need some time to look at this, to watch and see the trends. But again, you'll notice even then kind of a quick hitting system on the NAM that dries out pretty quickly. And then we're right back to square one and continuing our drought. So we'll see. Either way, it's better than nothing. I think some of us will get some rain here. Wind impacts and all, surge impacts, not really going to be something we need to worry about with this. Just more of some much needed rainfall that could, be useful to a lot of us out here. But we'll definitely nail down who exactly sees how much rain within the next 24 to 48 hours as we kind of see this thing really develop on radar and can track it a little bit more in the real time. Alrighty, well, again, I apologize about the yard work that decided to happen right outside my window in the middle of the video. If you heard it, well, I'm sure you did hear it, not even if you heard it. I do apologize. But with that said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow.